Hot Mess Mums, where nothing's perfect, everything's real, and Magpie is here to bring a bit of balance back. Leanne Brown, welcome to Hot Mess Mums.
Again?
Yeah,
yes. It's been a long time.
It has been so long.
Too long.
It was right at the beginning of my journey. You are what I call one of my originals.
Yeah.
You know.
OGs.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just left a Housewives of Cheshire when we met. Mm-hmm. So much has happened since then.
Yeah.
Goodness me, it's just been, well, your life has changed a lot, massively, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. So how are you? Let's start with that. And what's going on right now?
Yeah, I'm really good, actually. Yeah, I've been on a wild journey, but I think everyone, as over the last few years, everyone's sort of had so many shifts and shake-ups in their lives, haven't they? And I've been no exception to that. But yeah, I am in a much better place than I have been. But yeah, it's been tough. It's been a tough old road. At the moment, currently I'm working for a private members club, which I'm really enjoying. And well, essentially it's business matchmaking for high net worth individuals. And it's kind of nice being back in the environment of sort of that wealth environment, but looking at it from a business perspective.
Yeah.
Instead of just being in it and like being on the other side of it, I guess. Because, yeah, well, we'll go into that. Like financially, things have been really tough, and obviously separating from Wes, and yeah, there's been a lot.
There has been, and I've heard you talk about midlife sort of awakening, right? And Gwyneth Paltrow's talked about this as well, and I heard her talk about it. I've heard you talk about it, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, because when I turned 40. There was a lot of shifts and changes in me and a lot of stuff. And I was looking at what was happening in my life and where I was. And I knew things weren't right. And when I would say things to people, I'd be like, 40's a funny old world, isn't it? Like, you know, what is this? Because
life begins, apparently.
Well, I'd be like, I feel like I'm outgrowing a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm becoming a different person. And a lot of the time they were just like, what's wrong with you? You know, I felt like no one got it. So when I hear women speak about it, I think, no, it is a thing. And it's a thing for so many women.
Yeah.
And it's actually a very powerful thing. But it's also quite difficult. To navigate through, right? Yeah.
It's almost like a dismantling so you can rebuild or get back to the core of who you truly are, I guess, and finding yourself and remembering. But it takes a lot of courage to actually make different changes when you get to the point and you do that life audit and you look around and you look at the people in your life, you look at your relationships and, you know, even what you're doing for work. And that's what it is. It's like a life audit, isn't it? And when they say life begins, it's I think it's just when maybe the rose-tinted glasses come off and the realisation of, do I want to be here in the next 10 years or 20 years? And the answer is usually no. But it's usually women that make the decisions, you know what I mean, to if they are unhappy, for instance, let's say a relationship, because men just seem to be able to just stay in it and just stick the head in the sand, really.
Someone said to me that it's the hormonal shift as well. So, you know, you go through the stage of wanting babies and wanting to create them. And it's almost like there's something that blocks something off in you where people are taking all your energy and time and everything else. And then when things start to change hormonally, we can't facilitate that kind of stuff anymore. We start to see through it all. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting because that's probably why it's women. Because men don't really get hit in that way,
no.
Do they?
They should go buy a sports car or something.
Yeah,
don't they?
that's
or
it.
Get a young 21-year-old like girlfriend. Still be open to a 21. No, not a 21-year-old, like 35. No, not a girl, by the way. A man. God, so I'm sticking myself out.
We've not had any gin yet, I promise.
God. But yeah, no, hormones is one of the defining factors, obviously. And I think when I started to make these decisions and these shifts, that I look back now and think I was in perimenopause and I was completely unaware of it. And because of the way I was with myself mentally and emotionally, and I just knew that I couldn't continue in where I was. And but I was scared. It's scary, isn't it? It's 25 years I'd been together with Wes, and thinking of a life. I think I was constantly, things were right for a good while. And I think it constantly you always envision your life to be with that partner. And I kind of was willing things to be different and for us to just live happily ever after, together. And that's what I did want. But as I started to want more for myself and I started to learn more about all different things and started to do more for myself and get involved in the charity that I did and travel to Africa. And, there's so many different elements to the knowledge that I gained and the growth that took place. And I felt like Wes just didn't move from where he was. And he knew me as the version of me that was with him, that was just willing to be at home and, go shopping and, just be happy doing all the things that he was aware of me doing. I had a brain, but I wasn't using it because I wasn't, I would say it wasn't fulfilling a purpose, but my purpose then was being a mother, and I've played down that so much. And that's something else. Yeah.
Can I just say, 3 beautiful girls, and you're an amazing mum. And I was thinking about this the other day and I was thinking about bits that I wanted to talk to you about. And I thought, I'm sorry, but who else? Anyone would be exactly the same. You're married to someone at the time who's very wealthy. You have this beautiful family. You are, as the mum, going to prioritise the children and the family home because you can afford to do that and have all that time with them and kind of make that work. I don't think there are many women that wouldn't take that, and build that lifestyle and in that way. And like you say, when you play it down, it's such a big role because, you were the support for him in his career whilst running your family life and raising those girls as well.
Yeah.
And I think even for women who weren't in that wealth circle like you were, there's still a lot of women that do that. And they would understand that's such an important role. But at some point comes that time where you're a bit like, okay, now I want a bit more.
Yeah.
Because you perhaps needed a bit less.
Yeah. It's quite sad, really, why, there's different ways to look at it as well, isn't it? If we look back to the suffragette movement and how the women was voting and going to work. And when I sort of look back at that, was the ulterior motive of that to get to women to be pay taxes and have them in the workplace. So then women are almost forced to do everything now.
Yes.
And they feel obliged to have to work to be at home and, and obviously because of the cost of living now as well and trying to keep everything going. I think there's more often than not, there's 2 parents working anyway. But I think even with regards to women that may want to stay home, it's difficult because they may feel judged like I did, being at home and then not doing anything for myself. But then the other flip side of it is I want my girls to aspire to do something else than be a mum, even though that is a really important role. And actually, Hallie said to me the other day, I said, what's your goal in life? And she actually said to be a mum. And I think it was such a beautiful thing. And I said, but do you not want to be more? Obviously, she's trained as a dancer and she's doing really well and she's going travelling this year. So she's got her head screwed on. She's not saying she wants to rush into being a mum straight away. But that's one of her life goals, to be a mum, because she just obviously wants to experience that and bring a tiny person into the world and have that responsibility. But it is when you get to that certain age and the kids are growing up, and that's when you start thinking, who am I without the kids being at home? Who am I, outside of that relationship? And that's when the real work starts, because you have to then kind of rediscover who you are underneath it all.
What did that feel like when that hit? How did you cope with that? And I know financially things changed for you as well, because often in relationships, sometimes one person might be more in control of the money than the other, or we trust them, or we leave it to them. Or what was it like for you in that situation?
What do you mean? Just the realisation of...
Well, first of all, like with obviously your financial situation with Wes, what was that like? You know, did you have a lot of control of what was going on? Because I've heard you speak before about everybody wants to, you know, people just flock round footballers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of...
I think there's, well, to the footballer aspect of it, I think there should be so much more done to protect footballers. Being of a young age, coming into so much money, I think they just get taken advantage of so much. And it's kind of luck of the draw. You kind of want to trust people, and people are telling you different things, that invest in this, do this. And you have some footballers that have done it and done really well because they've managed to get somebody who is really invested in helping them. But it was like, when the good times are there, everybody's there. And then as it starts to dwindle off, and actually, you know, there isn't the same financial like security there anymore, and you're not paying for everything all the time. And, you know, things then change, and you realise that then people are just not as present as they were before. And it obviously happened quite gradually, and we were kind of living a bit of a fake life, especially when I was on the show, because even though to the public we were living in this big house and exploiting, like, essentially it's a show that's exploiting wealth, isn't it, in Cheshire?
Yes, yeah.
That lifestyle. And I had to go along with that. But obviously in the background of it all, it was like all falling apart, if you will, because we'd had such a massive loan from the bank, and the market crashed, and we had 3 houses like that were worth a fortune, and we were just paying interest and hemorrhaging money, as well as what go into it all, but as well as other like investments. And, you know, so people say, how could you actually lose all that money? But it happened. You know, the more money you have, the more money you actually give out, the more extravagant the holidays, the houses, the cars, the gifts. And, you know, it did. We got very badly advised. We got taken advantage of massively. And it was like, it went through... like I say, living on the show, being on the show, and we were getting letters through the door saying that we were going to have the house repossessed, and, you know, there was all sorts going on, and then having to put on a show and think, you know, everything's beautiful and shiny, and actually, as we know, usually it's there's lots of cracks behind the scenes that people don't really realise. But yeah, it was, I mean, I didn't have control over the money. I wasn't earning the money, so I didn't really. And that's, I think, one of the main things for me. I really wanted to be independent and have my own money, so nobody could say, you know, it's not your money. And you know, even though when you look at obviously the being able to facilitate your partner going to work, because then obviously you're at home with the children and you're their support network. That was my role in it all, you know. But I just so much just wanted to have my own money, my own independence, because things that we were told to invest in, and I'm saying we were told, and I'd actively sort of spoke about it, where the money was going and what was going to be done, but we just trusted the people that were advising us implicitly. So we were that close to them. It was we didn't question anything, and that's on us. You know, you have to take a level of responsibility as well. And Wes has obviously been through in United, gone up through the ranks, and almost being a footballer, being at that young age and having everything done for him and as they do, and told when to get up, what to buy, what to, you know, when to turn up at training, and, you know, what to eat, and everything, they're sort of wrapped in cotton wool. And then obviously then you get all the predators coming and saying, like, do this, do that. And they're all on backhanders, like, for you getting invested in certain things. So I feel like really sorry, like, obviously for myself in the sense of the situation they're in, but more for Wes, for the position he's in, and for the whole family, really, from going from having not wanting for anything, and you have this sort of belief that surely it's not all going to disappear. You know, there's always going to be something there. And we just watched it slowly dwindle away to practically nothing. So we are where we are. And I do believe everything happens for a reason as well, you know.
This season is so much about reinvention. I feel like that is, so many of my guests are embodying that, including you. Yeah. It is so brave to decide to change so many things and to come away from a marriage you've been in for a very long time and invested a lot in.
Yeah, and it wasn't because he lost the money, by the way. Like, there's a lot of speculation. Oh, you know, she's took all his money and she's left him because, you know what I mean, because he's skint now. Oh, I should have left him when he had a bit of money. At least I would have had a bit in my back pocket. But no, there was cracks in the relationship. But, you know, if I'm honest, there was certain things that weren't right from the beginning. And being children, when we got together, he was 18, I was 21. Cougar. No, he was just I've lost my train of thought then. I see menopause brain. What was I saying then?
So there were cracks.
Oh yeah, in the relationship from the beginning. And I think when you're young and then you sort of, I had trauma that from my past, and he was obviously a young lad. He was from Longsight, and he had just come into all this money. And you know, the core belief that I think the reason why all this has happened is because we never believed we were worthy of having that money, and that's obviously the knowledge I've gained through all the work I've done, like understanding, knowing your worth and knowing how your past trauma and where you're from and all the little things that I said to you from being a child and how you hold on to those. So when all the money comes in, it's almost like you just want to, well, I know for Wes specifically, can't get my words out, he wanted to share his wealth with everybody, you know, and he did that. And I can't fault him. He's the most generous person on the earth. But at the end of the day, it's to his own detriment because he never learned to say no. And even when I would say, you know, I think we should better start looking at things, and he wouldn't like it. He wouldn't like me to sort of have any input on that because, so I think a lot of it is down to self-worth and the reason why we have ended up in the situation we have. Because money is... Well, money's energy, isn't it? Money's energy.
Yes,
and
it's freedom.
Yeah.
But it can have such a bad effect, can't it?
Yeah.
If it's managed badly or, you know, how people...
badly.
Yeah, absolutely. Skin changes. It just does. And nobody really prepares you for that. Hormonal shifts in your 30s and 40s can mean dryness, sensitivity breakouts. No, sensitivity breakouts that you thought you'd left behind at 16. What helps? Well, keeping it simple and keeping it clean. Magpie's formulas are built around magnesium and a handful of evidence. Backed botanicals, no nasties, no overcomplicated routines either. The shower gels deliver a daily dose of magnesium while cleansing, and the bath salts and flakes go deeper, supporting your skin's barrier and your body's stress response at the same time. And the new all-body moisturiser is almost here, designed for skin that needs more than just hydration. Watch this space at magpieskin.co.uk. What's it been like for you since separating, coming away from that relationship? I imagine that you have been on a journey of self-discovery. We touched on manifestations. I know you talk about it a lot, and I really love seeing your videos about it. But you are on a journey. And, you know, like I said, it takes a lot to do something like that. It's very brave. Mm-hmm. But it changes so much, not just that you then become single, you then get that independence. You're sort of starting over again, but there's the difference between the fact that your girls probably won't and haven't been with you all the time like they were because you then share access. What's that been like, and how have you navigated that?
It's been really hard because initially, I mean, we handled the separation really badly because we were, my girls have been amazing through it all, you know, how they've handled almost like the transition of living in like super like huge houses with swimming pools, and I mean we had 180 acres of one property we had in the farm, and So then we moved to a house in Macclesfield, which was still a beautiful big Tudor house, and it had like 6 bedrooms. And then from there we moved into still a decent sized house, but it was just on an estate in Wilmslow, like 4 bedroomed. We were just renting that, like awfully decorated. Everything was magnolia. I hated living there. And Wes ended up staying there, and I moved out. I moved out after I actually went to Mexico and did a retreat. I went there for 3 weeks. I did an ayahuasca journey and, real plant medicine retreat. I knew I was leaving before I was coming back because I'd found a house. But the kids were, so Hallie was at uni. Lilia was, has always been very, doesn't show any really emotion in the sense of like what's going on, but it was very angry at the time. You know, I just remember being very angry, and it's because she obviously, a bit like her dad, she doesn't know how to express her emotions. So Lola was only like 10, and when I think of it now, I think, God, she was just a baby, and none of us sat her down and any of them down and said, right, this is what's got. I spoke to Hallie because she was a bit older, but we didn't sort of sit them down. It was kind of when we moved from the big house into the one in Macclesfield, I was sort of saying, oh well, I might end up going into, it was the Macclesfield house into the Wilmslow house. I said, we may end up living in a little Muse house we had. Your dad might go and live with his mum. And it wasn't, we'd not fully told them then. I guess at that point, I didn't fully know that was definitely going to happen because we did have we had one therapy session and then like nothing else happened after. So that was sort of the nail in the coffin for me, thinking, there's nothing for me here, I think, I have to leave basically. But so we didn't sort of sit them down formally and say them, but I remember looking at houses before I went away, and Lola was looking over my shoulder saying, are we moving? I was like, yeah, well, I'm going to be moving into this house. And she said, well, I'm coming with you. Lola was like my shadow. And I said, of course you are. Of course you're coming with me. But then Lilia didn't want to leave her dad, and then Lola obviously didn't want to leave me. Hallie was at university. So when I actually left initially, I was kind of the kids were staying with, but I still live in the middle of like nowhere, surrounded by fields, and they hated it because it wasn't in the centre of anything. And my kids didn't even really come with me. So for a period probably of about 6 to 8 months, I was kind of just on my own, like not all the time, like I say, the kids were predominantly staying with the dad, and it killed me and it ripped my heart out because these were my babies because they'd chosen to stay there. So that was the most difficult, it was the most difficult time. That was, it was the most difficult time. It was soul destroying, and thankfully I had a good network of friends around me that obviously picked me up, and then I'm going all through like the hormonal things as well, so that was going on, and trying to actually just navigate the relationships with the children at that time. And I was in such a victim mode because I was so upset that they were choosing to stay with their dad. And it was almost like I was having to beg them, but I didn't want to force them because I didn't want them to resent it. So it was a really, really mentally tough time, at that point. So,
but you've come all through that now.
Yeah, sorry, I waffled on a bit
No,
then.
No, not at all. And I think, because so many people stay and they say because of the children, they're going to stay. But actually, it's not one of the best things you can do for them because children aren't silly and they get affected by it when they know they've got 2 people who don't belong together anymore. Yeah. So I think it's extremely brave that you stepped outside of that.
Yeah. And then obviously just throw my energy into doing the retreats that I did. Yeah. And that was super healing for me as well, because obviously learning the therapy and all the courses and the meditation and the yoga and all the shiatsu, all the things that I was learning about the body and the mind and how we function, and how to heal and how to like really peel back the layers. And although I was doing the women's circles and I was hosting at the retreats and holding space for these amazing women that we had, and some men throughout the time that I've done it so far, But specifically the women, and as much as, and I was very open in saying as much, and it was for them, it was for me as well, and I was going through that healing process as well. So that was really important for me to be able to have that within that space where I was then. And I mean, we never stop learning and growing, do we? Anyway, so it is just a process of that. But yeah, then learning the things that I've learned, being able to uncover things about my childhood and the reason why I put up with certain things, and the reason why I I am the way I am, I guess, and have all the, and my self-worth was on the floor, and understanding why that was, and peeling it back to my childhood. And that's usually where it all comes from, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And especially when it comes to who we choose to have relationships with. You mentioned earlier, it wasn't probably right. There were bits at the start that weren't right. I think, again, that's just so very relatable. But we tend to ignore red flags until we learn much later in life what they are.
Yeah.
And why at that point we did accept them. And a lot of that is because of things that have happened to us when we were young.
Mm-hmm.
And I think doing that work opens a whole new world to us, and we understand things in such a different way.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I know, because I'm in therapy, and I know that I sometimes go back and think about my younger years, and I feel sad for her so much. I've done some inner child work. I don't like doing it. I get very emotional about it.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you see things and you think, that's really sad.
Yeah.
And I wish I had that knowledge then that I have now.
Yeah.
That could have changed things.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when you go back and you look at things that we've experienced in life, and that's the reason why we get triggered in the present, and sometimes we're not even aware of why that is. But and I with regards to my childhood with my dad, a lot of it, it's like daddy issues. The father wound, it's either the mother wound or the father wound, isn't
I have
it?
both.
Yeah,
so
okay, yeah.
I'm really lucky. But I mean, because they have such a big influence over our life.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think I didn't have a relationship with my dad for 17 years, and I got to the point, and I'd done so much work, and I've just come to the realisation that he wasn't bringing anything positive to my life, so why did I want him in my life? And he met Hallie when she was about 3, and then he'd never met my other girls, never given me away when I got married, and he lived in the Philippines, married again and everything. And I was angry at him, but I was also just, in the back of my mind, I wanted to make peace with him, but I wasn't sure how to do it. And because of the way he was, and he's passed away now, the year before last, and you've heard the Ho'oponopono?
Oh no.
So the Ho'oponopono is it's an old Hawaiian mantra, and it was discovered by a doctor called Dr. Hugh Len, and it's a mantra because we know words carry so much power, they carry energy, and this mantra is super powerful, and it's just, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And to put it in perspective, Dr. Hugh Len he was using this to heal his patients, and he got asked to go into a prison, of a really terrible prison. People had done terrible things, and they really wanted him to go and work with the inmates face to face. And he said, no, I'm going to do it from home. And they said, no, you must come in. So he just came into an office, didn't meet them face to face. He worked through their files. And the idea is that you're healing yourself, healing them through yourself, through almost taking away the forgiveness, and for whatever they've experienced is the reason why they've done such heinous crimes, I guess. And within an amount of couple of months, the inmates were then doing artwork, and the staff wouldn't leave, and they were just, there was so many changes that happened in the prison. So there's a few books about it, and I first got told about it, and I was using it on the retreats, and I used it with my dad actually, and I knew that I had to get to a point to know that no matter what he came back with, I was going to be okay with it. So I did eventually reach out to him, and I've written to him. So I was doing the Ho'oponopono with him consciously, you know, sending that healing, I guess it is, to him energetically. And we ended up getting back in touch with each other, and I reached out to him, sent him an email, and just talking about the younger versions of yourself. And I actually said to him, you know, I was angry at you because you were the father, you were the parent, and me being a mother now and understanding what that means. Like, how could you ever just lose contact and not want to continue that? And I said, but now I see things differently. He'd had a tough childhood, that you are just a little boy in an adult's body and trying to navigate the world as you've been taught it and not learnt from the past, I guess, and understanding that I'm also a little girl in an adult body, you know, still trying to nurture them younger versions of myself to be able to move forward with the mind that I have now, you know. Yeah. And so we did get back in touch, and then it was very brief. And then the January, I said, do you want to speak to the girls? And he didn't respond. And then he ended up passing away in the July, and I didn't ever get to show him the girls it would have been FaceTime because of the Philippines. So again, it's like then grief, isn't it? Grief of losing him the first time, and then grief of like losing him the second time, and then the third time, really, because it was like 3 times. And grief is a loaded word, but it's something that we actually we carry so much through so many different ways of loss, isn't it? From relationships, childhood, you know, loss of a loved one from passing over to the other side. So which is why I'm writing a course about it.
Are you?
Dropped that nicely in there, didn't I?
I love that.
It's like sad. Anyway, sales. No, I'm joking.
No, but it's great because you know, you mentioned like all the things that you were learning after leaving Wes, and then with this as well, which I think that's about evolving and finding out the whys in our life. But actually, it helps others because we learn so much from that. You've mentioned hormones quite a bit to me, so we have to delve, you know, because I've just gone on HRT after avoiding it for quite a long time and trying to do everything naturally, and it's changed my life in a matter of weeks. I have really struggled with perimenopause. So what's your journey like with hormones, and how do you manage everything?
Still navigating it. I was always the person that was like, no, it's not going to affect me. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to stay going. My mum's like, oh, wait till you get, then you'll get the middle age spread. And I'm like, no, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to keep working out. And then it hit me like a fish in the face. About 18 months ago, I just really struggled. Like I just aching, like energy. And, I've been taking the Elserat for a couple of years before that, I think, when I was going through the peri, but I've not had a period for like almost 3 years. So I'm fully in menopause now.
Right,
so when I'd started taking the Elserat, it was like in the beginning, and I've not had loads of other symptoms with regards, saying that, I've started with the hot flushes a bit more now, but and the itchy skin. Oh my God, nobody tells you about the itchy skin.
See, mine's gone since
I had it.
So my face, I'd be
itchy
like
now.
this.
Like...
My ears, the inside of my ears, the achy legs, which would make me cry. And I love going to the gym, and it really affected my training. And so therefore it really affected me mentally as well. But I had vertigo, oh my God, dry mouth. I had frozen shoulder, which was also really painful and debilitating. I just couldn't talk half the time. And as I do it for a living, it's really debilitating. And I'll be on the radio and I'll be going to say something and I don't remember.
Yeah, I know.
And it just got to a point for me where there were days where I was so low that I was just in a very dark place. And there's a lot going on, as we all have in our life. And I just thought, oh, God, it's time. It's just time. And I don't even take a paracetamol. So, it was a big decision for me. But all those things have gone.
Right, okay. So I think the reason why I've started up with the flushes and the itchy skin is because I actually stopped taking that. It's just the gel. I stopped putting it on for the last 6 weeks. I've just started doing it again. But the reason why I went on HRT was because mentally I took a massive dip last year, and it was like March last year. And it was so weird. Like, it almost just felt like the curtain had just come down, but it was so strange. I was on a day out. It was like a brunch. It was a birthday brunch, and I actually was dressed as an old woman, weirdly, because it was a fancy dress. And I just remember feeling this wave of like, something's going to happen when I get home, and I don't know what to do. And I started to try and ring people because it was almost like I just knew I was going to like go crazy. I was going to have a breakdown. But I felt it. It was like I knew it was coming. And I knew that I was worried that I wouldn't be able to stop whatever was coming. So I almost detoured the taxi to my brother because I rang a couple of people and they weren't answering. And then I knew a couple of my friends were going off to dinner. And I was like, I didn't want to ruin their lunch or whatever, their day. And the taxi guy, it was weird because I started crying in the back of the taxi and he was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And then I just got into my house and I just literally just exploded, and I screamed and I smashed plates, and I managed to ring my friend just before like I started to I pressed it, obviously subconsciously, to ring her. And then she obviously could hear me screaming and going crazy in the kitchen, and she was like, I'm coming. So thankfully she got there and picked me off the floor. And that, I think, it was a struggle with the girls and not having them in my life when I did as much. But that was my rock bottom, I think, because it was game over for me. I'd had enough. And I think it wasn't just about the hormones, it was just about the struggle and the survival that I was in at that time. Like, I obviously was doing the retreats, but you get paid when you do the retreat. But that, apart from that, I wasn't getting paid. And, Wes still helps me out a bit, and he pays some money to me, but it wasn't enough to, just fund, pay all my bills and everything. And it was I was just done. I'd sold everything, sold all my bags, my jewelry, and I got to the point where I just didn't have anywhere to go this next month, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I think that layered up, and it just hit me. And then that was it. And then I got the job that following month with the Private Members Club. Yeah, so that it was just came at the right time, but that if I hadn't, well, I guess I just didn't know where to go anyway. So I started. That's when I was like, I need to do something. I need to go on the gel, and I've been great mentally, and I've been taking my lion's mane and stuff. That's great for your brain, isn't it? For the menopause.
Talks about that.
And still take the Elsarat, and then I just got a bit clever, thinking I'm just going to leave it for a little bit and see if it's okay. And then it's started with the itchy skin and the other symptoms. Yeah. So,
and I think when you are having a hard time and there's lots of other stuff going on in your life, that just makes it worse.
Yeah.
And your hormones are your foundations, and if they're not right, then nothing else is going to be either. And it's super tough, I think, for women. And I'd always been one of those people who, I'm going to do it naturally and through nutrition and exercise and everything else. But then for me, I think you do hit that rock bottom and you realise you've got to do something. And I'm on everything. I'm on testosterone.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about testosterone.
Best thing ever.
Yeah, because that's my next thing.
Oh,
I definitely want to get on that, because I think my
it.
energy levels are still
my
really
energy
low
levels are so different.
Yeah.
I'm back to training 4 times, 5 times a week. Mm-hmm. I don't feel exhausted after a workout by 3 p.m. I don't want to put my pajamas on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
No, I think I'm definitely going to do that. Yeah, testosterone. Yeah, 100%. It's been. But your hormones are changing all the time, aren't they? And it's difficult unless you are able to measure them continuously, through looking at your bloods. I mean, the doctor's very standard, isn't it? And then you go for all these different tests, but everything's always fluctuating. That's why I think, I'll just try and do without it for a bit. But it wasn't a good idea. But
No.
mentally, I've been absolutely great. But I think, again, it's not just about, your hormones. It is about what's going on in your life as well, and how that's affecting you, and how active you can be through going through that process, because the gym is a great way of obviously helping with your mindset and your
there's a lot we can do on top
health.
of it, I think. But I think we need to talk about it, and educate our girls.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't spoken to about it, So I think, and a lot of women have that, where they just weren't told anything. So I think, we need to do that. And
my mum said, I was fine.
I know, my nan's like that.
But I was like, they just weren't aware, were they?
No.
No.
Which is, it's so good to see you doing so well.
Thank you.
And
I need to mention my book as well.
Yes, do. Mention your book, and we're going to do bath time confessions with you before we all have to run for a train.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
So my book is my children's book. This bit of a label
gorgeous.
of love. Like, I'm doing the private members club, working there, but I'm working on lots of other things in the backline, like in the background as well, that I'm obviously passionate about. My site with loveleanne.co.uk, that has like meditations and little bits and pieces on, and this has been it's one of 6, but it's only the first one I've been published on Amazon.
Brilliant.
And it's it just sends a positive message to children. It's about an octopus. Have you seen the little the film that's on at the minute, Remarkably Bright Creatures, on Netflix?
Oh, okay.
And it's about an octopus and my octopus teacher, because they're so magical. And this incorporates crystals, and it's about Olive. She has special powers that helps all the sea creatures through their own journeys and stuff. And so there's other characters to introduce as well. So this is available on Amazon anyways, but it's been a lovely a labour of love that I've done for the younger generation.
I love that.
Yeah, I've actually just become an ambassador for a friend of mine who's doing an amazing charity for children with mental health as well. I'm going to be giving a percentage of the book sales to her as well. She's it's called Next Gen Mems. She's training mentors to help children with mental health in the care system as well. So lots of things going on.
Yeah, so many hats.
Yeah, sorry.
I love that. Reinvention.
Yeah.
And lots of success coming your way.
Absolutely.
As well.
Yeah.
Bath time confessions before you go. Are you a bath or a shower girl?
I'm a shower girl. I wish I was a bath girl, because, it just takes a lot for me to organise to get in the bath, and then I just feel a bit like,
Well, we're very excited for you to try the Magpie shower gel.
Yeah.
But when you have that time, is it just time to shut down, or is, some people have the most creative ideas? What do you think about when you're having your time in the bathroom and the girls can't see, everyone's locked out and it's just your time, your space?
What do I think about?
Yes.
I don't know what I think about. Just probably, I've quite often listened to music, really.
What, when you're in the bathroom?
Yeah.
You have time to just zone out?
Yeah. I think, meditating's when I get my, downloads, I guess. But, when I'm in I do occasionally have a bath, but, which I will be now.
Yes.
I think, I listen to podcasts, or I listen to, I've got a little bit of a obsession with listening to tarot readings on YouTube.
Do you know what? I follow loads of people on Instagram, and then they come up every morning, and I think, was this my sign?
What
Is this
sign are
meant for
you?
me? I'm Libra.
Okay.
I get very excited about all that stuff.
Yeah, well, Aquarius I am, and everyone's saying that money's coming and, success.
I think they say that on all of them, I don't know.
Yeah. Why does it say it to you as well?
Yeah, I see it all the time.
I think it's
I'm
the
like,
moon,
oh my
isn't
God,
it, as
abundance.
well? Yeah, but I'm believing it anyways. I'm believing it. Just listen, Baba Jolie, the one I listen to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
or Sacred Knowledge, that's another good one.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll have a
They're
listen.
very same, but
Yeah.
Probably
Love
are
that.
telling the same thing to everybody. Right.
And finally,
Yeah.
you've had quite a story and come through a lot,
Yeah.
And on that other side, for women listening that are having a hard time right now, changing their life, leaving a relationship, what would you say to them? What could be your best advice, do you think?
Take every day as it comes. Make sure you've got a really good support network, and do not be afraid to reach out to them when you need them. It takes a lot of courage to make changes, massive shifts in your life, and just be gentle with yourself, and really give yourself that self-care. And I think women are so hard on themselves, aren't they? Ourselves, all the time. And know your worth, and know that even though it feels really yucky in the middle of it, and it feels like you what have you done? Because there's times when I felt like, oh my God, to be in that family. I miss my family being together. I miss that family unit. But where I am now, it's where I'm meant to be. And obviously it's just keeping going and doing things for you and finding who you truly are. It's a process, but you will get there.
Thank you so much, Leanne Brown.
Yeah, thank you.
And we
so
wish
much.
you so much success
Thank you.
going forward. Thanks for being a guest.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you for having me.
Messy, busy, glowing. Just how we like it. Magpie and the Hot Mess Mums. See you next time.